My motivation for this project is in my underlying passion for learning, and TED Talks never fails to teach me something new. Hi, my name is Jose Yamas, and I am a data scientist, and I want to explore what exactly makes a show worth getting more views than the next. Well, that is exactly what I wanted to do when choosing this project. I will be trying to use classification to help me in doing so, and in this case, a binary classification. Fortunately, I was able to acquire a great dataset, which contains all official TED Talk transcripts up to late 2017. With this, my agenda will consist of using the full TED Talk transcripts and the views for my natural language processing pipeline. So initially, I wanted to use the mean for my target splits, but quickly realized this would result in greatly imbalanced targets. So for that reason, an average view count as a target point for my split would not help me in this instance, as I have well over 250 shows that span from 3 million views to well over 40 million views. So with this in mind, I decided to make a split at around 1 million views. As you can see, this helped with defining a good balanced split for the bulk majority of the data. This helped with not having to combat an imbalanced issue later on. I chose to vectorize all the transcripts using Tf-Idf and went with a random forest classifier for its good off-the-shelf performance. For my base model, I got the results shown on the screen. And so when letting the model predict for itself, the biggest takeaway was that the model really struggled to classify the true positives, or also known as the not so favorable videos. So when I decided to investigate further to improve the model, I decided to use the recall score. And the reason for that is the recall score tells us what fraction of the TED Talks that are originally labeled as favorable are detected as favorable. I also just included the accuracy score as it is a very easy to interpret score and tells us a summarized version of how the model is performing. As I took on the challenge to improve the model, I knew my main focus was to improve the recall score for the true positives. I started by looking into my feature importances and trying to get an insight of the use of words that hold more value in helping the model classify one from the other. For my feature importances in my first model, I was surprised to see how many bland type of words were included. Uh, I just simply didn't think some of them held any true meaning for classifying. So after deciding to uh, add some cleaning to the text processing, um, I also added some lemmatizing to the words to see if some of the features can converge using their root words. So after doing so, I saw some more interesting words pop up that seem to have more linguistic meaning, such as understanding instead of say, and many more, just to name a few. After further investigating, I also handled unigrams in conjunction to some bigrams and realized in order to improve my model, I can use both in reference to make better uh, use of classification and help me increase my true positives. Some really interesting insights when implementing the bigrams with the unigrams was seeing words like healthcare and everyday that I think could bring good insights in how to better tune the model. There's just an example right there. So after getting some insight in the feature importances, I decided to plot a ROC curve and see how the performance compared between the two models from 0 to 100%. The first model being the baseline model and the second being the tune model. After plotting the ROC curve, I got more insight in where I could further tune the model by adding a threshold value to help me improve the true positive values. So I land on what is now my current model. With the implemented n-grams and threshold values, I was able to get a significant increase in performance and was able to increase my true positives as spoke earlier. For future development, I do strongly believe continuing down this path of further investigating my feature importances can continue to help me improve the model by increasing recall, not just in one class, but in both. I would also like to build a flash gap where I can use the API call for the most recent TED Talk and predict if the TED Talk would be more favorable than its counterparts. Thank you for your time. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to take any of them.